You to my playthrough of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Randomizer, also known as Zooter. Best acronym ever. Okay, before we jump in, I'm going to give a brief synopsis of what a randomizer is in case you guys do not know, have not heard of it. It is kind of popular in like the Twitch environment, but on YouTube it hasn't been popularized yet, and I'm super excited to be doing this. So pretty much what this randomizer is every single chest in Ocarina of Time is randomized, along with items such as the hookshot, bow, bomb bag, iron boots, tunics, bottles, the minigame prizes, the item upgrades such as like the Deku sticks, the big bomb bag, big quiver, the rupee wallets, heart pieces, rupee chests, which anywhere from like 5 rupees to the huge rupees, Skulltula prizes that you get from collecting gold Skulltulas, the heart containers you get from bosses, the chests that have a singular heart in them, even the chests that you open up and they freeze you. All of those things in the game are randomized. So, for example, you could collect the Kokiri sword chest in Kokiri Forest, and you could get the fairy bow, or you could get 5 rupees. It's all randomized. But that's not the only thing that's randomized. There's some other things that are randomized in the newer version of this. So another thing is all of the Ocarina songs. So that includes like Zelda's Lullaby, the Barello of Fire, Saria's song, the Nocturne of Shadow. All of those songs are randomized. So you could go and get Zelda's Lullaby, but you might instead get the Barello of Fire or the Minuet of Forest. The next thing that's randomized is all of the gems and medallions in the game, such as the Forest Medallion, Kokiri Emerald, Goron Ruby, Fire Medallion. So say you beat Fire Temple and go to collect the Fire Medallion, you might actually get the Zora Sapphire. Then we have the tunic colors that are randomized. So your tunic color, that's just kind of for fun, more of an aesthetic thing, but it makes it more fun to watch. And it makes it easier to tell that you're watching a randomizer if you're randomly watching somebody play one. And then the last thing that's randomized is the sound effect that the game makes when you're low on hearts. Normally you have the beeping sound, but it's randomized. One of my favorites is it can be the sound of King Zora scooting over, the wait, wait. You could also have it be like Navi's, hey, hey, and so on and so forth. There's lots of sound effects. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this randomizer. Alright, so we are in our randomizer of Ocarina of Time. Now the first thing we gotta do is put in our name. And just to keep true to the randomizer fashion, I'm gonna use a random name generator to pick our name. So I'm gonna click on the randomize button, and I got the name Ira. Oh my gosh. Apparently we're naming our character Ira. Fantastic. I love it. Now, the first thing that we're going to find out is our tunic color. I'm really excited. I really hope it's something interesting. I hope it doesn't end up being the regular Kokiri green. Let's find out. Oh, we also start off with the fire medallion. I'll explain why in a second. And awesome! We're white! This looks so cool. Kind of reminds me of a cloud. We're so fluffy and beautiful. It looks like Link used a little bit too much bleach when watching the Kokiri tunic. Anyways, so the first thing you might have noticed is there was no opening cutscene. Now, one of my favorite things about this randomizer is all the cutscenes are cut out of the game. Because if you're playing a randomizer of the game, you've probably played the game quite a few times. You actually need to play the game quite a few times in order to play this because you need to know where all the chests and stuff are. I'd say the randomizer is the type of game you play if you want to keep playing Ocarina of Time because it's such a fantastic game and you just need more of it in your life. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to go into Milo's house because there's 4 treasure chests in here. Go ahead and find out what we're going to get. Chest number 1 holds, whoa, a huge rupee. Okay, that's not too bad. I will take that, because we're going to need to buy the Kokiri shield and some Deku sticks, because we also probably will not get the Kokiri sword. The Kokiri sword is one of the most difficult things to end up finding. Okay, we got a heart container, so we're up to 4 lives. Then for number 3, what? A second heart container? Okay, we're already up to 5 hearts, that's awesome. And chest number 4 has a blue rupee. Oh my gosh, this is the notorious item. The thing we'll see most while playing this randomizer. They're also called bloopies, that's the nickname for them, and they can be pretty freaking evil. Lots of people are not a huge fan of bloopies. Another thing you might notice is we have this item tracker. I'm putting this on the screen so we can easily keep track of what items we have collected. And so far we haven't collected any of these items, but whenever we collect one, we will just highlight it. That way it's really easy for you guys to know what items we've gotten. Just in case, like, I don't know. It's good. It's the item tracker. Do I really need to explain what it is? So the nice thing about getting that huge rupee is we're not going to have to grind for rupees in Kokiri Forest, because we're going to want to get some Deku sticks because we're not going to have a sword, and it can be really difficult to play this game without a sword. So we'll buy some Deku sticks so we can at least attack a few things. The next chest we're going to go for is the Kokiri sword chest. Hopefully we can get something good. We need to get a really good item such as like the hook shot or the bomb bag. Alright, another Bloopy. My favorite. Woo! What do you want, Navi? Come on, be brave. Let's go into the Great Deku Tree. Shut up. Don't be telling me what to do. Although we're actually about to go to the Great Deku Tree. But don't tell Navi that because we don't want her to have an influence on us. We don't want her to feel like she's right. Because she's kind of a hoe. And I'm not really a fan of Navi. Those who know me know that I'm not the biggest fan of Navi. I'm personally more of a Tattle fan, Majora's Mask. She is way more chill. Navi's kind of a condescending know-it-all, so I'm not her biggest fan. Now, one thing I have done is I created a tier list similar to Super Smash Bros. You know how when people make character tier lists showing the strongest characters and the weakest characters? Well, I made a Zelda Ocarina of Time tier list as well to be able to show what items are the best, the items we want the most, and the items we want the least. But first, let's go ahead and buy our Deku shields. And we're just gonna buy a few Deku sticks. Look at this short little guy back here. He can't see over the counter. It's so sad. I'll buy a few Deku sticks. So go ahead and while I'm buying these sticks, I'll show you guys my tier list. But for S tier, I have the hook shot, bomb bag, and Megaton hammer because those items will open up a lot of the game. You can get bomb bags and Megaton hammer. You can break most of the boulders that block your path. And if you get to the hook shot, you can get into a majority of the dungeons as Adult Link. And also look at this girl over here, Papa Blessing over here. She must be a big H3 fan. I am as well. Girl, you got some good YouTuber taste. And then the A list, we have the Goron bracelet, the Kokiri sword, boomerang, and fairy bow. The boomerang is really great to get because it allows us to collect gold Skulltula tokens. You do want to collect gold Skulltulas in this game because there is items randomized into the gold Skulltula rewards. Up to 50. There isn't a reward for 100 gold Skulltulas. That's not put into the randomizer because that would be a pain if you had to collect 100 gold Skulltulas. And the reason I do that is because everything is completely randomized. And they didn't want to put a really, like a really important item such as that you need to beat the game, such as like the hook shot in the 100 Skulltula reward slot, because that would not be fun to do. Alright, first chest inside the Deku Tree. And we get the compass. Awesome. So, the maps and compasses. Gosh, stop that L target. I don't want to target those wall chillas. So yes, that's another thing put into the randomizer is the... Oh no, I need to equip my shields. Forgot to do that. And while we're here, we might as well put in our Deku sticks as well. But the map and compass are put into the randomizer, but they still stay within their respective dungeons along with the dungeon keys, but they are randomized as well, so they're not going to be in the same exact spot. And you can, in the options of creating your seed, you can turn off the maps and compasses and they'll just be replaced with blue rupees, but I prefer to keep them on because I don't really want blue rupees, and two, I kind of like to get the maps and compasses so I can make sure I get all of the chests inside each dungeon. Okay, we got the map and the compass. So the next 3 chests we get inside this dungeon are going to be something randomized. Alright, don't forget this little guy up here, just chilling up on his perch. Lots of people tend to miss this. Okay, the Hylian shield. That's not the best item to get, because you can buy it yourself, but it's going to save us some money in the long run, so that's pretty good. Now it's important to keep that platform there, because normally you get the slingshot in this room, which allows you to escape, but you do not get the slingshot in here. So if you make that platform fall and you don't get the slingshot, which you most likely won't, then you'll have to reset your game and respawn at the entrance of the Great Deku Tree. Now one of my favorite parts is climbing up these vines and trying to avoid these spiders. Now if these spiders look at you, they will attack, but if you stand still in one place, they will not attack you. They'll be like, where did you go? And it looks like we might actually get up here without them seeing you whatsoever. Yeah, if they do see you, you can just stay in place and they'll be stupid spiders and they'll be like, where did you go? Last night I was walking into my house and I walked face first into a giant spider web in front of my front door. And I freaked out, guys. I freaked out. It's probably my worst fear, just walking through giant spider webs and face first. Because then you don't know where the spider is and you go through like a miniature panic attack. It is not a fun time. To finish off the tier list though, in the B slot, I have the Slingshot, the Goron and Zora Tunic, the Iron and Hover Boots, Lens of Truth, Dense Fire. Ooh, look, a piece of heart. Cool. It's not bad. Not great. Don't really need that many hearts. I mean, if you're not really good at the game, you might need them, but I've played this game so many times, I don't really need extra hearts too badly. Like, having 5 hearts is a pretty good amount for me right now. I should need more for a while. Ooh, stop targeting. I need to jump. Wow. Why do I suck? And then the Dekubaba just hit me. Stop it, dude. These things also have like the worst breath. I'm almost going to add the SpongeBob foghorn sound effect whenever they breathe on you, because you see a big cloud of green gas coming out of their mouths. These Dekubabas need a toothbrush. I'll line myself up real fast. And there's one more chest after this one in the dungeon. Okay, we got a bottle. It gives us some Long On milk, and that allows us to mark off our first thing on the item tracker. That's not too shabby. We normally get that from beating the Cup mini game in Walnut Ranch with Talon. We have to find the 3 Cupcus. And we're going to collect our first gold spatula as well. Alright, let's get out of here. Ooh. Now, if you don't have a Deku stick, you will also be stuck in this room because you're required to light this torch. In which case, you'd also have to do a reset as well. Noise. Go ahead and extinguish this one. Hold on to as many Deku sticks as possible. In the C rank, I have heart containers, because they give you a full heart. Bottles, the wallet upgrades, like the adult wallet, and the mirror shield. In the D rank, I have heart pieces, Nyru's Love, and Ferora's Wind. And in the E rank, I have bluepies, and other like low amounts of rupees, and the chests that freeze you, because those are actual assholes. So let's jump and break the web, hopefully it don't miss. It really sucks when you miss and have to re-climb up the whole entire Deku tree. Even though I've beaten this game a million times, I still for some reason happen to do that. Go ahead and jump attack this dude. Out of here. No, the jump on the ledge. It's so curt though. Don't you love how cutscenes will freeze you in time? So realistic. And here's our last chest of the dungeon. Now you also get something randomized. Okay, the adult's wallet. That's not too bad. Now we can collect more than 99 rupees, which is nice. So in case we get another huge rupee, we can actually hold the whole thing. Now there is one more item inside this dungeon, and that's the heart container you get from beating Goma. But unfortunately, since we do not have the slingshot, we're not able to get to Goma or even beat Goma. Although if I was a talented speedrunner of the game and knew how to break the game, I could get to Goma and fight it probably. But I'm not really into the hacks. And also I feel like using hacks in the randomizer isn't as fun. Now if you were doing a race of some sort with another speedrunner, it'd be cool to use some hacks. But for me personally, I like playing the game a little bit more naturally. I mean, I say that as I'm playing a really weird ROM hack of it, but you know what I mean, without sequence breaking and such. But speaking of sequence breaking, one of the options that you can change while creating your seed, because to create the seeds for the ROM, you have to use this program, which I'll link to the Ocarina of Time Discord down in the description of this video if you want to try this out yourself. You can change a few options, and one of them is to open up the Kokiri Forest. Because normally you have to beat Goma to open up the Kokiri Forest, to open up, I'm like mispronouncing lots of words, but normally you have to beat Goma to open up the Kokiri Forest. But you're able to select one of the options that automatically opens it up. Now if you don't select the option, it'll give you either the bomb bag so you can escape through Goron City, or it'll give you a slingshot so you can beat Goma and leave. We're just going to run right past Saria and get our fairy ocarina. Fantastic. And now we're going to be in Hyrule Fields. So here's the best thing about the randomizer. No Kapora Gay Bora trying to talk to us and waste our time. That's one of my favorite things about this game. You don't have to go through his super long dialogue boxes and then be tricked when he's like, do you want to hear this again? And they put yes as the default option. You don't have to deal with any of that bull crap. Thank God. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to Hyrule Castle. We're going to go talk to Zelda and get our first song. And let's not forget to climb our chains. You got me in chains. You got me in chains for your love. There we go. Oof. He just broke both of his legs. I'm not sure how he's still walking, but he's being a trooper. So proud of him. No, don't jump in the water! Ooh, that was close. If I fell in the water, I probably would not have gotten back up to the drawbridge before it closed. And that would have not been a fun time. There we go. Oh, normally you can get 2 rupees, but I failed. It's not a complete failure. But it's okay. I tend to accept this about myself. Back to the C generator, though. Another thing you can do is you can choose to have the door of time open so you can become an adult, which I also have that opened up. So we can become adult Link whenever we want. And that is the reason why we have the fire medallion. Speaking of, let's go ahead and mark that we have the fire medallion. So the reason we have the fire medallion is normally when you go to the Temple of Time and become adult Link, you would get the light medallion from, what's his name? Oh gosh, Rauru. Such a fun name to say. Let me go back to the market real fast so we can load Nalin. Because we need to get the egg to wake up her daddy. But yes, so you normally get the light medallion, but since it's all randomized, it gives you a random medallion or gem, and we randomly got the fire medallion. So the thing that we need in order to beat the game, our overall goal is we need to get the 5 or the 6 medallions so we can create the bridge, the rainbow bridge that leads to Ganon's castle so we can go and beat Ganon. So in order to beat this, we have to just find the 6 medallions. But in this randomizer, you'll most likely have to end up beating every single dungeon in the game because, as I said, the heart containers that you get from beating the bosses, those have randomized items in them as well, so there's a high chance that one of those heart containers will be an item you need to beat the game. And then also, you have to get the 3 gems in order to get the Song of Time, because to activate the cutscene where Zelda and Impa come running out of the castle being chased by Ganon, where you normally get the Song of Time, that's only activated if you get the 3 gems. So in order to get the Ocarina of Time, you have to beat the 3 dungeons as Child Link. Although, in this randomizer, you can beat the Dodongo's Cavern as Adult Link, because then that's what I would advise is to beat it as Adult Link, because it's way faster as Adult Link because you can skip most of the dungeon. Alright, so we're almost to Talon sleeping over here. I'm also going to go ahead and save. Now, the graphics plugin I have, I'm using Project 64 for those of you wondering. The graphics plugin I have put in doesn't normally lead to any game crashes, but since I am playing on an emulator, I would advise myself and anybody also using an emulator to save pretty regularly in case the game crashes, because nothing sucks more than having to replay through something that you've already done. Now you might be asking, how could you play this game on something other than an emulator? And I actually just learned how just a few weeks ago. But there's this thing called the EverDrive, which is a Nintendo 64 cartridge that you can put an SD card in, and you can put ROMs on your SD card and play them on a normal Nintendo 64. All right, let's wake them up with our coffee. What in tarnation? Isn't that a meme now? Pretty sure it is. Hello, who might you be? Yep, I'm Talon, the owner of Lon Lon Ranch. Yep, you've been sleeping for 20 long years, sir. I just love his arms, so he just waves them all over the place as he's running away. It's so great. But yeah, so the EverDrive, it allows you to put a bunch of ROMs onto an SD card and then play any ROM you want on a Nintendo 64. So it's like a lot more natural. A lot of speedrunners do it. Almost every speedrunner that I've met has an EverDrive because it's so convenient. And then most of them have like every single Nintendo 64 ROM on them. Only downside about it is EverDrives are expensive, for like $200 or something like that. So that's why I don't have one, because I'm too poor for that shiz. Maybe someday. this is, in my opinion, one of the most slept on songs in the game, The Castle Courtyard. Doo-doo.